The rain drums against the loft skylights, a steady pulse that fills the quiet as I stand by the kitchen island, a spare key cool in my palm. Portland's glow seeps through the glass, smearing neon across the exposed brick, and I feel the city's restless hum in my chest. The clock ticks past 10, and I'm waiting for Nate and Sophie, my stepson and his shadow, to step into the life I've offered to mend. Greg's upstairs, his voice a low murmur through the phone, another late call with a client. I trace the key's jagged edge, the metal biting into my skin, and wonder why I said yes. Yes to them crashing here, yes to tangling myself in their mess. The eviction notice Nate showed me this morning sits crumpled on the counter, a stark white scar against the wood, and I see his eyes again, dark, guarded, pleading in a way he'd never admit. The buzzer jolts me, sharp and insistent, and I cross to the intercom, my boots clicking on the hardwood. "It's us!" Nate's voice crackles through, rough with exhaustion, and I buzz them up, my pulse quickening for reasons I can't name. The elevator hums, then dings, and there they are. Nate, his broad frame hunched under a soaked jacket, and Sophie, her auburn hair wild, a duffel slung over her shoulder like she owns the place. "Thanks, Lena," Nate says, brushing past, his damp sleeve grazing my arm. My breath catches at the contact, fleeting but electric, and I force a smile, stepping back. Sophie follows, her grin bright against the storm, and I smell her perfume, jasmine sharp and warm, cutting through the rain's earthy tang. "No trouble," I say, handing Nate the key. Our fingers brush, and I feel it, a jolt, a thread of heat that lingers as he pulls away, his jaw tightening. He doesn't meet my eyes, just nods, and I wonder if he felt it too. Sophie drops her bag, stretching with a sigh, her shirt riding up to reveal a sliver of skin, and I look away, busying myself with the kettle. "You didn't have to," she says, her voice light, teasing, as she leans against the counter. "But I'm glad you did." Her gaze lingers, bold and unapologetic, and I feel the weight of it, a challenge I don't know how to answer. The water hisses, steam curling up, and I pour tea, the mug's warmth steadying my hands. "Greg's okay with it?" Nate asks, shrugging off his jacket, and I nod, though I haven't told Greg the full story, just that they needed a place, just for a bit. "He's upstairs," I say, and Nate glances toward the stairs, his shoulders stiff, like he's bracing for something. The loft feels smaller with them here, the air thicker, charged with their presence. Sophie flops onto the couch, her laughter spilling out as she kicks off her boots, and Nate hovers near the window, staring at the rain-slicked city. I watch him, the way the light catches his profile, sharp, shadowed, so like Greg but not, and feel a tug, a quiet ache I push down. "Long day?" I ask, crossing to hand him a mug. He takes it, his fingers brushing mine again, and this time he looks at me, really looks, and I see it, the flicker of something raw, unguarded. "Yeah," he mutters, his voice low, and I step back, my skin prickling with the nearness of him. Sophie's voice cuts through, bright and sudden. "You're a lifesaver, Lena. We owe you." She pats the couch beside her, an invitation, and I hesitate, caught between them, Nate's quiet intensity, Sophie's playful pull. I sit, the cushions sinking under me, and feel the space close in, the rain a steady rhythm against the glass, mirroring the unrest stirring inside. Greg's footsteps thud down the stairs, and I tense, the moment shattering. "They're here?" he asks, his tone even, and I nod, rising to meet him. His eyes scan the room, Nate, Sophie, me, and I wonder what he sees, if he feels the shift I can't name. "Good," he says, clapping Nate's shoulder, and I exhale, the tension easing but not gone. The night settles, and I lie awake, Greg's breathing steady beside me, the skylight framing a restless sky. Nate and Sophie are down the hall, their voices a faint hum through the walls, and I feel it, the key I gave them, the door I've opened, a step towards something I can't yet see. The loft hums with morning light, slanting through the skylights and pooling on the hardwood. I stand at the stove, the sizzle of bacon cutting through the quiet, its smoky warmth curling into the air. My hands move on instinct, flipping strips, but my mind's elsewhere, down the hall where Nate and Sophie slept, their presence a thread tugging at me since they arrived. The rain's gone, leaving Portland sharp-edged beyond the glass, and I feel it too, a clarity I can't shake. Footsteps shuffle behind me, and I turn to see Nate, his hair mussed, a faded t-shirt clinging to his frame. "Smells good," he says, his voice rough with sleep, and I catch the way his eyes linger, soft, then guarded, as he leans against the counter. My pulse stumbles, a quick, unsteady beat, and I hand him a plate, our fingers grazing. The contact lingers, warm and fleeting, and I pull back, focusing on the pan. "Sophie still out?" I ask, keeping my tone light. But the air feels heavier now, charged with him so close. He nods, taking a bite, and I watch the motion of his jaw, the casual strength in it, a echo of Greg I've never noticed before. "She's not a morning person," he says, a half-smile tugging his lips, and I feel it pull at me, a quiet ache I don't name. The day unfolds. Greg at the office, the loft hours. I'm sketching in my studio corner, the pencils scratch a steady rhythm, when Sophie drifts in, her bare feet silent on the floor. "You're good," she says, peering over my shoulder, her breath warm against my neck. I tense, her nearness a spark, and she laughs, low and easy, settling onto the couch with a sketchpad of her own. Nate joins us, sprawling beside her, and I feel them, two currents converging, pulling me in. Night falls, the city's neon bleeding through the windows, and a storm rolls in, thunder rumbling low. We're on the couch, a bottle of wine between us, the glass cool in my hand as I sip. Sophie's laughter spills out, bright and wild, and Nate's quieter, his knee brushing mine as he shifts. My skin prickles, the wine loosening something inside, and I catch Sophie's gaze, bold, inviting. Then Nate's, steady and searching. "You've been so good to us," Sophie says, her voice softening, and she leans closer, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. "We should thank you." My breath catches, the air thickening, and Nate's hand rests on my arm, tentative but firm. I freeze, caught in the heat of them, the storm's pulse echoing mine. "Let us," Nate murmurs, his touch sliding higher, and I feel the shift, the line blurring, the loft shrinking to this moment. Sophie's hand finds my knee, her touch light but deliberate, and I'm dizzy with it, the wine's tang sharp on my tongue, their warmth pressing in. The thunder cracks, loud and close, and I nod, a small, reckless yes, my resolve unraveling. We move, a tangle of motion, the couch yielding beneath us. Sophie's lips brush my cheek, soft and teasing, and I turn into it, tasting her. Sweet, alive, a contrast to the storm outside. Nate's hands frame my waist, pulling me closer, and I feel the strength in him, the quiet hunger I've sensed all along. My fingers thread through Sophie's hair, silky and wild, and I lean into Nate, his breath hot against my neck, a rhythm building between us. The air grows dense, heavy with the rustle of clothes, the creak of the couch, the storm's roar weaving through. Sophie's touch dances along my side, igniting trails of heat, and Nate's presses deeper, grounding me in the chaos. I lose myself in it, their scents mingling, jasmine and salt, the way they move with me, around me, a shared pulse I can't resist. My hair falls loose, brushing Nate's jaw, and Sophie laughs, a sound that threads through the tension, binding us tighter. Lightning flashes, illuminating the loft, and I see us in the mirror across the room, three shadows entwined, a reckless blur. The moment stretches, my skin alive with their touch, my chest tight with the weight of it, want, guilt, a freedom I didn't know I craved. The storm rages, and I surrender, caught in the tide of them, the glass around us reflecting a truth I can't unsee. The storm rages beyond the loft's glass, a wild heartbeat syncing with mine as I sink deeper into the couch, Nate and Sophie on either side. Thunder rolls, low and insistent, vibrating through the floor, and I feel it. Their presence, a current pulling me under. My wine glass sits abandoned, the air thick with the scent of rain and us, a blend of jasmine, salt, and something headier I can't name. Sophie's beside me, her laughter fading into a soft hum as she leans in, her lips grazing my jaw, warm and deliberate. My breath stumbles, caught in my chest, and I turn to her, tasting the edge of her, sweet, reckless, a spark that ignites me. Her fingers trace my arm, light but purposeful, sending trails of heat racing beneath my skin, and I arch into it, the sensation dizzying, alive. My hand finds her waist, the curve soft under my touch, and I pull her closer, losing myself in the rhythm of her nearness. Nate's on my other side, his presence heavier, steadier, his hand sliding to my hip, anchoring me. I feel the warmth of him through my shirt, the quiet strength I've glimpsed in stolen moments, and I tilt my head, inviting him in. His lips brush my neck, a slow burn that contrasts Sophie's teasing dance, and I gasp, the dual sensation threading through me, tightening every nerve. His fingers press into me, firm and sure, and I feel the tension in him, the hunger he's held back too long. The loft fades, the storms roar a distant echo as we move together, a tangle of limbs and heat. Sophie's touch shifts, her hands roaming higher, igniting waves that ripple through me, and I lean into Nate, his chest solid against my shoulder. My fingers thread through his hair, dark and damp, and I feel the tremor in his breath, the way he pulls me tighter, as if I might slip away. Sophie's lips find mine again, deeper now, and I taste her fully, the wine's tang mingling with her warmth, a pull I can't resist. The couch creaks beneath us, yielding to our weight, and the air grows denser, laced with the rustle of fabric, the soft sounds of us weaving through the thunder. Nate's hand slides along my thigh, deliberate, stirring a pulse low and insistent, and Sophie's brushes my collarbone, her touch a whisper that sends my skin alight. I'm caught between them, their rhythms blending, their scents wrapping around me, a dance of need and surrender I didn't know I craved. Lightning cracks, illuminating the room, and I catch our reflection in the mirror across the way, three forms entwined, shadows blurring into one. My hair spills loose, grazing Nate's jaw, and Sophie's fingers catch it, tugging gently, drawing me back to her. Nate's lips trail lower, his breath hot against my skin, and I arch, the sensation cresting, a tide I ride with them. My chest tightens, a knot of guilt and desire unraveling together, and I feel it building, something vast, unstoppable, as their touch weaves me tighter into this moment. The storm peaks, rain lashing the glass, and I tremble, my body alive with their hands, their warmth, the way they claim me without words. Sophie's laughter hums against my ear, a thread of light in the chaos, and Nate's grip steadies me, grounding me as I sway. The mirror reflects us, distorted, reckless, a truth I can't unsee, and I surrender fully, the boundaries of me dissolving into them, a shared pulse that consumes me whole. Time bends, the moment stretching taut, until my breath comes ragged, my skin thrumming with echoes of them. Sophie pulls back, her eyes bright, and Nate's hand lingers, his gaze dark and searching. The storm quiets, a soft patter now, and I sit there, caught between them, the loft still spinning, the glass around us holding our reflection. 3, not 2, a fragile thing I've made real. He loft trembles under the storm's fading pulse, the rain a soft whisper against the glass, as I sit, pinned between Nate and Sophie, their warmth a tide I can't escape. My breath's uneven, my skin alive with the echoes of their touch, and the air feels heavy, thick with the scent of us, jasmine, salt, the faint musk of desire threading through. The couch holds us close, its cushions sinking deeper, and I feel the weight of this moment, a line crossed I can't redraw. Sophie's beside me, her auburn hair brushing my shoulder as she shifts, her fingers trailing along my arm, slow and deliberate. The sensation ignites me, a spark that races through my veins, and I turn to her, drawn by the heat in her gaze, bright, unguarded, a mirror to the chaos inside. Her lips find mine again, softer now but insistent, and I taste her, sweet, wild, a current that pulls me under. My hand slides to her neck, her pulse fluttering beneath my touch, and I feel her lean into me, her body yielding yet bold, a dance I can't stop following. Nate's on my other side, his presence a steady storm, his hand resting on my hip, firm and warm through the fabric. I tilt my head, inviting him closer, and his lips graze my throat, a slow burn that sends my pulse soaring. His fingers tighten, pressing into me, and I feel the strength in him, the quiet hunger I've sensed beneath his guarded shell. My breath catches, the dual rhythm of them, Sophie's teasing lightness, Nate's grounding weight, threading through me, tightening every nerve until I'm taut, trembling. The room blurs, the skylights dimming as the storm quiets, and we move together, a tangle of heat and motion. Sophie's touch roams higher, her fingers brushing the edge of my collar, igniting waves that ripple deep, and I arch into it, my skin alight with her warmth. Nate's hand slides along my thigh, deliberate, stirring a pulse that echoes low, and I lean into him, his chest solid against me, his breath hot and uneven. My fingers find his hair, dark and damp, and I tug gently, feeling the tremor in him, the way he presses closer, anchoring me in this chaos. The air grows denser, laced with the rustle of fabric, the soft creak of the couch, the faint hum of the city beyond. Sophie's lips trail my jaw, her touch a whisper that sends me reeling, and Nate's shifts slower, his hand tracing curves with a quiet intensity that undoes me. I'm caught in their rhythm, their scents blending, their hands mapping me, a shared pulse that consumes me whole. My hair spills free, grazing Nate's cheek, and Sophie catches it, her fingers weaving through, pulling me back to her with a smile that cuts through the tension. Lightning flickers, faint now, and I see us in the mirror across the room, 3 shadows entwined, a reckless blur against the glass. Nate's lips find my shoulder, his touch a steady claim, and Sophie's dances along my side, igniting trails that merge with his, a tide I ride between them. My chest tightens, guilt and longing unraveling together, and I feel it cresting, something vast, overwhelming, as their warmth weaves me tighter into this uncharted sea. The mirror reflects us, distorted and alive, and I surrender, my body thrumming with their presence, my boundaries dissolving into the heat of us. The moment stretches, taut and endless, until I tremble, my breath ragged, my skin alive with the press of them. Sophie's hand lingers, her gaze bright and searching, and Nate steadies me, his touch a quiet anchor as I sway. The rain fades to a patter, the loft settling around us, and I collapse back, caught between them, their warmth a brand I can't erase. My fingers brush Sophie's arm, Nate's knee, and I feel the weight of it, their eyes on me, the silence heavy with what we've done. The mirror holds us still, 3, not 2, a fragile truth shimmering in the glass, and I wonder how we step back from this, how I face Greg, how I live with the pulse of them still coursing through me. The storm's gone, but I'm not. Lost in the tangle, the reflection, the edge we've crossed together. The loft lies still. The storm's echo a faint patter against the skylights as I sit, tangled in the aftermath, Nate and Sophie beside me. My skin hums with their touch, a lingering warmth that clings like the damp air, and I feel the weight of us, 3 breaths, uneven, threading through the silence. The mirror across the room holds our reflection, shadows blurred, a fragile tableau, and I can't look away, caught by the truth shimmering in the glass. Sophie shifts, her auburn hair brushing my arm as she rises, her gaze soft but distant. That was, she starts, then trails off, a smile flickering, and I feel the space she leaves, a quiet retreat. Nate's hand lingers on my knee, heavy, warm, and I meet his eyes, dark, searching, a storm of his own brewing beneath. Lena, he says, low and rough, but I shake my head, the sound of my name too much, too real. I stand unsteady, the hardwood cool beneath my feet, and cross to the window, the city's neon glow smearing through the rain-streaked glass. My reflection stares back, alone now, fractured, and I feel the pull of them still, the ache of what we've done. The couch creaks as Nate moves, Sophie's voice a murmur behind me, and I know they're gathering themselves, stepping back from the edge we've leapt off together. Morning creeps in, gray and sharp, and I'm alone when Greg's key turns in the lock. The loft feels smaller, the air thick with secrets as he steps inside, his briefcase thudding to the floor. Early day, he says, his voice even, but his eyes scan the room. Nate's jacket slung over a chair, Sophie's sketchpad on the counter, and I feel them narrow, a question forming he doesn't ask. Yeah, I mutter, pouring coffee, the mug's heat biting my palms. He crosses to me, his hand brushing my shoulder, and I tense, the echo of Nate's touch flaring beneath his. You okay? He asks, and I nod. Too quick, the lie bitter on my tongue. His gaze lingers, steady, probing, and I wonder what he sees, the flush I can't hide, the tremor in my hands. Nate and Sophie emerge, bags packed, their voices low as they thank me, their eyes avoiding mine. We found a place, Nate says, and I nod, the key I gave them cold in my pocket now, a weight I can't shed. Greg claps his shoulder, oblivious, and I watch them go, the door clicking shut, a hollow sound that reverberates through me. The day drags, Greg at work, the loft mine again, but it's not the same. I stand before the mirror in the hall, its polished surface throwing back my face. Older, altered, a woman I don't fully know. My fingers trace the frame, cool and unyielding, and I see them there. Nate's quiet intensity, Sophie's wild spark, ghosts in the glass, etched into me. The memory of their touch lingers, a pulse beneath my skin, and I wonder if I'll ever wash it away. Night falls, and Greg's beside me on the couch. The TVs hum a thin shield. They're good kids, he says, his hand resting on mine, and I flinch, the contact jarring against the echoes I carry. Yeah, I whisper, my voice thin, and he turns, his gray eyes searching. What's wrong? He asks, and I feel the crack, wide, unbridgeable, between us. I don't know, I say, my breath fogging the air, and he pulls me close, his arms steady, familiar. The mirror looms across the room, reflecting us, 2, not 3, and I lean into him, seeking the anchor he's always been. But Nate's voice, Sophie's laugh, their warmth, they're there, a shadow in the glass, a truth I can't unsee. My chest tightens, guilt and longing a knot I can't untie, and I wonder if he feels it too, the shift I can't name. The city hums beyond, a restless lullaby, and I close my eyes, Greg's heartbeat beneath my palm, the mirror silent now. I don't know what's next, their absence, his trust, my own fractured self. But for now, I hold on, the glass around us intact, if only just, a fragile frame for the life I've remade.